The moment I picked up Jude's phone, my heart raced. I felt the urge to scroll through his messages, a simple habit I'd developed over the years. But the instant I unlocked it, a chill ran down my spine. There it was, an exchange of intimate messages between Jude and a woman named Sophie. My breath caught in my throat, and my mind went blank. How could this be happening? I felt a rush of betrayal wash over me, like a tidal wave crashing down. Every word I read was a dagger to my heart, tearing apart the image of our perfect life. "I can't believe this," I whispered to myself, my hands trembling as I scrolled further. How could he do this to me? As I read each message, I felt a storm brewing inside me. Anger, disbelief, confusion, they all battled for dominance. How long had this been going on? Why hadn't I seen the signs? I wanted to scream, to confront Jude right then and there, but something held me back. I couldn't just react in the heat of the moment. I needed a plan. I set the phone down, my mind racing. What do I do now? I asked myself, my heart pounding in my chest. Instead of jumping to confront him, I made a decision that surprised even me. I would not let him see my pain right away. I would devise a plan for revenge. Days passed, and with each one, the initial shock began to transform into something else. I started thinking about Sophie. Who was she? What drew Jude to her? I realized that understanding her might give me the answers I sought. I wasn't just going to be a victim. I would reclaim my narrative. I spent my nights plotting, gathering courage to approach Sophie. I imagined walking into a coffee shop, pretending to be just another woman looking for a friend. What if she has no idea about me? I pondered. What if she thinks Jude is perfect? I chuckled bitterly, feeling an odd sense of camaraderie with her already. The decision was made. I would befriend Sophie, a seemingly harmless tactic, but deep down, I felt it was the only way to explore the mess that Jude had created. Would she be as naive as I had been? Would she reveal the secrets that lay behind their connection? The first time I met Sophie, I was nervous. I had arranged to meet her at a little cafe downtown. As I sat there, waiting for her to arrive, I rehearsed what I would say. Just act normal, I reminded myself, taking a deep breath. When she walked in, I was struck by her warmth. She had this bright smile that lit up the room, completely unaware of the darkness that loomed behind it. "Hi, you must be Alara," she said cheerfully, extending her hand. "Jude talks about you all the time?" "Nice to meet you," I replied, forcing a smile. Inside, my heart raced. "What does he say?" "Oh, just how great you are," she responded, her eyes sparkling. I felt a pang of guilt, knowing that I was about to deceive her. But I pushed it aside. I needed to learn more about her, about the woman who had taken my husband's attention. As our conversation flowed, I discovered layers to Sophie that I hadn't expected. She shared her dreams and fears, her hopes for love and acceptance. I felt a strange connection forming between us, even as I held back the truth. Did she know how she fit into this puzzle? I was drawn in deeper than I expected, losing myself in her stories. Maybe she's not the villain I imagined, I thought. Maybe she's just as lost as I am. But with every laugh we shared, the anger inside me simmered just below the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode. By the end of our first meeting, I had gathered snippets of information, but I was left with more questions than answers. Sophie was human, just like me, vulnerable and searching for something more. As I watched her walk away, I felt the weight of my intentions. What was I really trying to achieve? I asked myself that question over and over, but I didn't have an answer. Yet, as the days passed after discovering Jude's betrayal, a plan began to take shape in my mind. I decided that I needed to understand Sophie, the woman who had taken my husband's heart. I wanted to know what made her special in his eyes. So I chose to reach out to her, pretending to be a friend. It felt wrong, but I felt like I had to do it. I found Sophie on social media and sent her a message. "Hi, I saw your recent posts, and I think we have some mutual friends. Would you like to grab coffee sometime?" To my surprise, she responded quickly. "Hi, absolutely, I'd love to meet up. How about Saturday?" Saturday arrived, and I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. I arrived at the cafe early, my heart racing. I took a deep breath and reminded myself of my purpose. When Sophie walked in, I recognized her instantly. She had a warm smile and an easy laugh. I waved her over, and she joined me at the table. "Hi, I'm Alara. It's so nice to finally meet you," I said, forcing a smile. "Nice to meet you too, Alara. I've heard so much about you," she replied, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. I could feel a pang in my chest at her words. Was she talking about Jude? We chatted about small things at first, favorite books and movies. But soon, the conversation shifted. "So, how do you know Jude?" Sophie asked, her tone casual but her eyes searching mine. I hesitated, my heart pounding. "Oh, we go way back. High school sweethearts, actually." I feigned a laugh. "He can be a bit of a handful sometimes, but he's a good guy." Sophie nodded, a hint of sadness shadowing her face. "Yeah, he can be charming, but sometimes I wonder if he really wants to be with me." Her words struck me like a bolt of lightning. Here was this woman, full of doubts and insecurities, just like me. "What do you mean?" I asked, leaning in as if I were genuinely interested. "I don't know. I feel like he's always a bit distant, like he's holding something back," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt a rush of empathy for her. She was just a girl caught in the same storm I was. As our meetings continued, I learned more about Sophie. She was a kind-hearted person, but she struggled with her own issues, self-doubt and a longing for love. I found myself drawn to her vulnerability. Each time we met, I felt the lines of my plan blur. I was supposed to be gathering information, but I was beginning to care about her. One afternoon, while we sat in a park, Sophie shared a piece of her past. "I used to be in a long-term relationship and it ended badly. I just wanted to feel loved, you know. Sometimes I feel like I'm still searching for that." Her eyes filled with tears, and I felt a lump in my throat. "Yeah, I understand. Love can be complicated," I said softly, my heart aching. I was reminded of my own struggles, of Jude and the love I thought we had. As our friendship grew, I found myself torn. I wanted to confront Jude, to make him feel the pain he caused me. But here I was, building a bond with the very person I once saw as my enemy. I felt like I was walking a tightrope, and the ground below me was getting shakier by the day. "Alara, I really enjoy spending time with you," Sophie said one day, her smile brightening the atmosphere. "I feel like I can be myself around you." "Me too," I admitted, my heart pounding. I felt a sense of guilt wash over me. Was I betraying her trust by hiding the truth? But at the same time, I couldn't shake the need for revenge against Jude. As I left the cafe that day, I realized I was in deeper than I had intended. My original plan to understand Sophie had turned into something more complicated. I was no longer sure about my intentions. Instead of feeling anger towards Jude, I found myself feeling a strange connection with Sophie. What was I doing? I had wanted revenge, but now I was entangled in a web of emotions, and I couldn't see a way out. As I sat across from Sophie at our favorite cafe, sipping on my lukewarm coffee, my heart raced with a mix of emotions. I had been drawn into her world, pretending to be someone I wasn't, yet the weight of my deceit felt heavier with each meeting. Today, however, felt different. Sophie seemed more open, her eyes glistening with the vulnerability I had never seen before. "Do you ever feel like you don't really know someone?" she asked, her voice shaky. I nodded, encouraging her to continue. "I mean, Jude seems so perfect, but sometimes I wonder if he even knows what he wants." Her question pierced through the layers of my own confusion. It was the same question I had been asking myself since the moment I discovered the messages on Jude's phone. I took a deep breath, pushing aside the instinct to reveal my true identity. "I think everyone struggles with communication," I said gently. "What's been bothering you about him?" Sophie leaned in closer, her eyes searching mine for understanding. "He's distant sometimes. I feel like I'm not enough for him. He never opens up and I just—" Her voice trailed off, and I could see the tears pooling in her eyes. I don't know what to do. In that moment, something shifted within me. I realized that both of us were victims of Jude's silence and his inability to express his emotions. I felt a pang of sympathy for her, recognizing that her pain mirrored my own. "You deserve to feel valued, Sophie," I said softly. "It's not just about being enough for someone else. It's about finding your own worth." She nodded, her expression a mix of gratitude and sadness. "It's hard to remember that. I keep waiting for him to show me that he cares." I found myself contemplating the meaning of betrayal. It wasn't just about Jude's physical infidelity. It was about the emotional neglect that had created a rift between us. "Sophie," I began, my voice steady. "Maybe he doesn't even realize what he's doing. Sometimes people don't know how to express their needs." Her eyes widened with surprise. "You think he doesn't care?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "I think he's confused. He might be trying to deal with his own issues, and in the process, he hurts us both." A silence fell between us, heavy with understanding. I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. The anger I had been holding on to started to fade, replaced by a desire to confront Jude with empathy rather than rage. I wanted to understand him, to uncover the reasons behind his actions. "I think it's time to talk to him," I finally said, my heart racing. "But not in a way that blames him. I want to understand what he's feeling too." Sophie looked at me, her expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. "What if he doesn't want to talk? What if he just pushes you away?" "Then I'll know where we stand," I replied, feeling a newfound strength surging within me. "But I can't go on being angry. I need to find out the truth." As we finished our drinks, I couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter had changed everything. I was no longer just a woman seeking revenge. I was someone ready to confront the reality of my relationship with Jude. I wanted to step away from the shadows of betrayal and face the truth, no matter how painful it may be. "Thank you, Sophie," I said as we stood to leave. "You've helped me more than you know." She smiled, a flicker of hope igniting in her eyes. "I'm glad. Maybe we both need to find our own paths." As I walked away from the cafe, I felt a sense of liberation. I was ready to face Jude, armed with understanding instead of anger. I wanted to reclaim the narrative of my life and uncover the truth behind the facade we had both been living. The journey ahead would be challenging, but I felt prepared to embrace it. The atmosphere in our apartment felt thick and heavy as I sat across from Jude. I could see the moment realization hit him. His face turned pale, the color draining away as if he had just seen a ghost. The weight of my connection to Sophie hung in the air between us, thickening the tension. I had hoped for understanding, but now I feared the confrontation would only lead to more chaos. "Why didn't you tell me?" Jude's voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with a mix of fear and disbelief. The man I thought I knew was crumbling before my eyes. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. "Because I was scared," I admitted, feeling the truth spill out. "I didn't know how to face you. I thought I could understand what was happening without it all blowing up." "Understand what?" he shot back, his frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. "You were playing with fire, Ilara. You were in her life without her knowing who you really were." I felt the sting of his words, but I pushed forward. "And what about you? You were the one who let this happen. You chose to betray me. You chose her." His eyes narrowed as he processed my accusation. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I was unhappy, yes, but I never wanted to hurt you. Then why did you? I leaned in, my voice rising with each word. Why did you seek comfort in someone else instead of talking to me? Jude looked away, the shame evident on his face. I thought I could handle it on my own. I thought I could fix things without causing a scene. A deep silence enveloped us, the kind that is filled with unspoken words and broken trust. Do you even realize how your actions hurt me? I asked softly, the anger melting away to reveal the pain underneath. I felt like our whole life was a lie. He finally met my gaze, and I saw a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. I know I messed up. I'm sorry, Alara. I really am. I paused, searching for the right words. I just wanted to feel loved and secure. I thought we had that. I wanted that too, he replied, his voice cracking. But I lost myself somewhere along the way. I didn't know how to talk to you about my feelings. As we sat there, the reality of our situation settled over us like a heavy blanket. It was painful, but it was also a moment of clarity. Jude, I can't just forget what you did, I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. But maybe we can try to understand each other better. I want that, he said earnestly. I want to fix this, but I don't know how. Maybe we need to start by being honest, even when it hurts, I suggested. I need to know why you felt so alone in our marriage. He nodded slowly, tears welling in his eyes. I was scared. I thought I could handle my feelings without dragging you into my mess, but I see now how wrong I was. The room felt lighter as we began to speak openly, our fears and vulnerabilities spilling out. I always felt like I had to be strong for both of us, I confessed. But I needed you to be strong too. I needed you to be my partner. I should have been, he replied, his voice thick with regret. I never wanted to push you away. I just didn't know what to say. Our conversation stretched on, weaving through the hurt and confusion. We shared our fears, our dreams, and the moments we had lost along the way. It felt exhausting, but necessary, like lifting a weight we had carried for too long. As the sun began to set outside, casting a warm glow in the room, I realized that this was a turning point for us. We were both hurting, but perhaps this confrontation could help us heal. It wouldn't be easy, and the road ahead would be long, but at least we were finally on it together. Can we try? I asked, hopeful yet cautious. Can we try to rebuild what we've lost? Jude nodded, a flicker of determination in his eyes. Yes, I want to try. I don't want to lose you, Alara. And in that moment, I knew we were beginning to understand the depths of our relationship. The confrontation had opened a door, and together, we took a step forward into the uncertain but necessary journey of healing. After that tense confrontation with Jude, I felt like a balloon that had been popped. All the air rushed out of me, leaving a strange emptiness. I had always thought that love meant holding on, but now I was starting to see that maybe it also meant letting go. I had a long road ahead of me, a journey of self-discovery that I never expected to take. The days that followed were filled with reflection. I often found myself sitting in my favorite coffee shop, the one Jude and I used to visit. I would stare out the window, watching people pass by, and wonder what I truly wanted from life. The smell of fresh coffee mixed with the sound of laughter around me made me feel both alive and lost at the same time. Who was I now? What did I want? One afternoon, I bumped into Sophie. She was sitting alone, looking at her phone with a frown. I hesitated for a moment, but then I approached her table. Hey, mind if I join you? I asked, trying to sound casual. Sophie looked up, surprise flashing across her face. Alara, sure, I'd love the company. She moved her bag to the side to make space for me. As we talked, I felt a bond forming between us. "How have you been?" she asked, her voice soft and genuine. "I'm figuring things out," I admitted. "It's been a bit of a whirlwind, you know, but I think I'm starting to understand what I want." Sophie nodded, her eyes wide with understanding. "I get that. After everything with Jude, I realized I was just chasing after something I thought I wanted. But now, I feel different, like I'm waking up." Her words struck a chord deep within me. I shared my thoughts about how I had lost a part of myself in my marriage. I used to think that being with Jude meant I was happy, but I was just playing a role, I confessed, my voice trembling. Now it feels like I'm finally peeling back the layers. Sophie smiled softly. "It's a journey, isn't it? I felt that too. It's scary, but freeing at the same time." As we talked more, I realized that Sophie and I were not so different. We both craved love and validation, but we also wanted to be seen for who we truly were. "I think I need to end my marriage," I said quietly, feeling the weight of my decision. "Not because I hate Jude, but because I need to free myself." Sophie looked at me with compassion. "That takes a lot of strength, Alara. You deserve to be happy." Her support meant the world to me. I never expected to find comfort in someone who had been involved with my husband, but it felt like we were both healing together. A friendship was forming, built on shared experiences and understanding. Over the next few weeks, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started doing things that I loved, things that had been pushed aside for so long. I took painting classes, rediscovered my love for writing, and even signed up for yoga. Each step I took felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been lost. One evening, as I painted in my small studio, I received a text from Sophie. "Hey, let's go for a walk tomorrow. I think we both need some fresh air." I smiled, feeling grateful for our growing friendship. "Sounds perfect. What time?" I replied, excitement bubbling inside me. As we walked the next day, I felt lighter. Sophie shared stories about her own journey, her hopes and dreams, and I found myself opening up more than I ever expected. "You know, I always thought I had to compete for love," she said, glancing at me. "But now I see that I just need to be true to myself." I nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of camaraderie. Exactly. It's like we were both caught in a web of expectations, but now we can choose our own paths. The surprising bond we formed was a testament to our resilience. We were both moving forward, supporting each other as we embraced the unknown. I was no longer just Jude's wife. I was Alara, a woman on a journey to find herself. And for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of hope for what lay ahead. The sun rose softly over the horizon, casting a warm glow in my new apartment. I stood by the window, sipping my coffee, feeling a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. It was a new day, a new beginning. I could hardly believe how much I had changed. My heart felt lighter as I thought about the journey I had taken. "Wow, look at you," Sophie said, stepping into the room with a bright smile. She had become a true friend over the past few months. We had shared so much, and she had been there for me as I navigated my way through this new chapter of my life. "You look so happy today." "Thanks, Sophie. I really feel different," I replied, putting my mug down. "I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next." She nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. "I can't believe how far we've both come. It's like we were both stuck in our own worlds, and now we're finally free." I took a deep breath, recalling the lessons I had learned from my experiences with Jude and Sophie. "You know, I spent so long trying to please Jude, thinking that was what love looked like. I lost myself in the process." Sophie leaned against the kitchen counter, her expression serious. "I get that. I felt the same way with Jude. He was charming, but he didn't see me for who I really was. I think we both needed to learn that self-love is the most important thing." "Exactly!" I felt a wave of excitement wash over me. I've realized that I deserve to be happy and to be with someone who truly appreciates me. No more settling for less." Sophie smiled knowingly. "And you will find that person. Just keep being the amazing woman you are." I chuckled lightly, feeling the warmth of her words. "It's strange, though. I never expected to find a friend in you after everything that happened. You were so intertwined with my past pain." She looked down for a moment before meeting my gaze. "I know. It felt awkward at first, but we've both grown so much. It's like we've turned the page of the same book and started a new chapter together." "Yes," I exclaimed, feeling the truth of her words resonate within me. "And I'm excited about this new chapter. I've been thinking about what I truly want in my life and future relationships." "What do you want?" Sophie asked, her eyes curious. I paused, reflecting on my thoughts. "I want someone who communicates openly. I want to feel valued and cherished, not just as a partner, but as a person. I want to travel, explore new places, and have adventures. I want to build a life filled with joy and laughter." Sophie beamed at me. "That sounds incredible. You deserve all of that and more." As we chatted, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought me here. The heartbreak I experienced with Jude, while painful, had opened my eyes to the importance of self-discovery and empowerment. "I think I finally understand love," I said, a smile spreading across my face. "It's not just about passion or romance. It's about respect, trust, and most importantly, love for oneself." Sophie nodded in agreement. "That's a powerful realization. It's amazing how betrayal can lead to such profound understanding." I took a moment to think about the lessons learned. I used to think I was broken because of what Jude did. But now, I see that I am stronger than I ever knew. I'm ready to take on new challenges and embrace whatever comes my way. Sophie raised her coffee mug in a toast. "To new beginnings and the beautiful lives we are going to create." "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my mug against hers. As we drank, I felt a sense of hope and excitement. The future was bright, and I was ready to embrace it. I knew that the path ahead would have its challenges, but I was no longer afraid. I had learned to trust myself, and that was the most empowering feeling of all. In that moment, I realized that betrayal had not only broken me, but had also led me to a deeper understanding of love, healing, and my own strength. I was ready to step into my future, armed with the knowledge that I was worthy of the love I sought. Share this story if you believe that love can triumph over even the toughest challenges. Leave a comment about a time when unexpected friendship transformed your life, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories like this one.